So, with the Switch 2 having been officially released earlier this year, it's only natural that fan speculation and demand for many of Nintendo's dormant IP to be brought back for a new console generation will be through the roof. We've got obvious choices like F-Zero, Golden Sun, and Kid Icarus, all of which I agree would be amazing. But there's one in particular that I really wanted to bring special attention to. Hey, how's it going everybody? I hope you're all good. This is Peter Gargan speaking, and for this video, I wanted to talk about Sin and Punishment, a beloved duology of rail shooters developed by Treasure of Gunstar Heroes and Ikaruga fame, and published by none other than Nintendo themselves. We've got the original entry, just known as Sin and Punishment, which released on the N64 in 2000, which remained exclusive to Japan up until it got brought to the Wii Virtual Console for a worldwide release in 2007, and its sequel, Star Successor, or Successor of the Skies as it's known over here in the UK and other European territories, which came to the Wii a couple of years later. Both games received critical acclaim and are beloved by the few people that did play them, myself included, and I always thought it was a shame that we never got to see a third entry ever since, despite how much potential that it has to be revisited in today's generation. Let's go over why I think that is. Being a rail shooter, you control either Saki or Aaron in the original on foot, or in the sequel, choose between Issa and Kachi, who have aerial mobility as you aim with either the control stick or the Wii remote pointer. And immediately, I think back to how the Switch 2 Joy-Con supports mouse functionality, which would be ideal for this exact gameplay setup. It's also very comparable to the flight segments in Kid Icarus Uprising, where you use the touchscreen to aim the reticle, or how we've already been shown in Metroid Prime 4 in action with the mouse, and it would translate really well to Sin and Punishment. While the Wii pointer controls from Star Successor will likely never be surpassed, having the choice between twin-stick aiming or the mouse should provide accessible options for players that do the job just fine. Not only that, but because it'll be the first entry to be made with HD, or, considering the Switch 2's case, 4K visuals in mind, and considering how visually impressive Star Successor already was for Wii standards, it would be an astronomical generational leap and a feast for the eyes. But the real reason we need a new entry? Well, spoiler warnings for both games. There'll probably be a timestamp on the screen if you want to skip it. But after the twist reveal from Star Successor's true ending, we've been left on a cliffhanger for over a decade and a half at this point. As a quick refresher, the character Kachi, who Issa has been protecting from the Nebulox, is revealed to be Achi, the main villain from the original Sin and Punishment, meaning Issa has been helping out the bad guy, or girl in this case, the entire time. While it's possible that Nintendo and Treasure never had any intentions of exploring what happens next, leaving it to our imagination and interpretation to fill in the blanks, I would actually really like to see the aftermath of this reveal being explored. Does Issa decide to double down and stay by Kachi's side after spending the whole game protecting her? After all, they've gone so far to defeat the Nebulox and have bonded during their evasion of them, so surely there's no turning back. Alternatively, does it drive a wedge between the pair when Issa is made aware of the terrible things Achi did to Issa's father Saki in the first game? Does it leave him no choice but to turn against her? I really want to find out. Now that I think about it, a new Sin and Punishment game could be a great opportunity to tell a story with branching pathways that the player decides, kinda similar to Star Fox, another fellow rail shooter from Nintendo which would branch out based on certain criteria you filled in each level. This would definitely add a lot more replay value for those who would be concerned about a rail shooter being a full price release in the 2020s, as many have felt that the arcade-like nature of the genre would be a hard sell in today's gaming climate. But having several alternative outcomes would incentivize repeat playthroughs to make sure players will be getting their money's worth. Additionally, we could always add in multiplayer features like the co-op mode in Star Successor, online leaderboards, and maybe even a competitive mode for both split-screen, local and online multiplayer formats to modernize it, where players can compete for a high score. Nothing revolutionary, but pretty much there so that players can have something to come back to if they're done with single player. Now, with all these ideas put forward, it's easy for me to get excited about the possibilities, but it's also important to keep in mind the factors working against it. Firstly, there's not a lot of concrete information regarding the franchise's overall sales, which is already a bit of a red flag when it comes to indicating how well it performed commercially. According to VG charts, the N64 original, which was Japan exclusive, only sold about 130,000 units. As a side note, it is kind of strange that despite the game being designed to cater to Western audiences in mind, it didn't see a worldwide release until the Wii Virtual Console. However, the high demand for this re-release was apparently a big factor in influencing Nintendo to greenlight a sequel, although we don't have solid numbers for Star Successor either. But signs point to underwhelming sales, which sadly might explain Nintendo's hesitation, which is a damn shame, considering it is regarded as an underrated gem and some, myself included, would even say it's one of the Wii's best offerings. Furthermore, the developers Treasure haven't released a new game since Geist Crusher God on the 3DS in 2014, also Japan exclusive, an 11-year gap which is naturally concerning. There have been reports in 2022 stating that they were working on something in high demand, and it makes me hopeful that Sin and Punishment 3 for Switch 2 could be a possibility, but is its cult following sizable enough for it to be considered high demand? What if it lines up with Sega's ongoing pledge to resurrect many of their dormant IP, and this mystery project turns out to be something like a new Gunstar Heroes? Don't get me wrong, I'd also love for that to happen, but I'm admittedly grasping onto any piece of information I can find and giving into wishful thinking, if we're going to be real here. I imagine Nintendo will also see it as an accessibility issue due to potential series newcomers not being up to speed with the story. While the original game is part of the N64 library featured in the expansion pass for Nintendo Switch Online, Star Successor's only other re-release was through the Wii U eShop, which, as we all know, has been discontinued as of 2023. So would Nintendo feel that they have to remaster it first before publishing a third entry, also doubling as a way to test the waters for demand? To be honest, the latter is an outcome I'd gladly take if it means more people get to experience it, and become less likely to feel alienated on the occasion that something new actually comes along. Plus, if the Switch 2 continues the sales momentum of its launch week, then this could be the best chance that Sin and Punishment has in terms of reaching a wider demographic. With the general Nintendo Switch brand setting sales records for many long-running Nintendo franchises and attracting more hardcore audiences compared to the casual reputation that the Wii had, combined with the internet being much more prominent when it comes to information exchange through word of mouth compared to 20 years ago, maybe a new game would actually have a decent shot of performing well. Ultimately, we'll have to see if Nintendo is willing to give it another shot, and if Treasure are out of the picture, then maybe another developer could step in. After all, Platinum Games, for example, has experience with working in rail shooters alongside Nintendo in the form of Star Fox Zero, so it's a compromise that I'm open to seeing, although I imagine there could be backlash due to the concerns surrounding a potential lack of Treasure's signature charm. Overall, Sin and Punishment is an incredibly fun series that I think Nintendo and audiences slept on, and it truly has the potential to be brought back as an ideal candidate to make the Switch 2's first-party offerings stand out much more from the usual safe bets. Maybe it could even scratch that Kid Icarus itch, since Sakurai is currently busy working on Kirby Air Riders, and likely the next Smash Bros. After that. Let me know in the comments if you feel the same way, and be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more coverage on Nintendo or other games of interest. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, see you later.